Welcome, friends and viewers, to another Friday night edition of Chicago Corner. I got a chance to take a look at some of the comments in the live chat. Hello, Art. Hello, Kathy. Yeah, there have been some interesting stories this week happening in Chicago that we're going to reflect on and talk about. I want to say, though, before the show begins, on a personal note, I would like to send out condolences to my cousins, Louis, Christine, and Angela, on the loss of their mom and my aunt, Catherine Kutramanis, who was suffering from MS many years, and thankfully she's no longer suffering anymore. She lived a very long life, and she was very, very blessed to have my cousins, those kids, caring for her and helping her enjoy her years while she was afflicted with that illness. She leaves behind a granddaughter, Catherine, who is the daughter of my cousin, Christine. And I just want to send my love out to everybody over there. We're thinking about you. And I know a few of them watch the show, so I just wanted to personally say hello to them tonight and let them know they're in our thoughts. So as we go into the show, I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Kit Cabello.
Salutations and cheers, everyone.
And Mr. Edward Heller.
How's it going, everybody? We should also welcome our other co-host, Oreo.
Yes, he's already been poking his head into the video monitor or into the camera view every once in a while here.
I also want to add in something here too, Jerry. Condolences to you and your family members, especially to your cousins.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry for their loss.
Thank you, Kit. Yeah, it was, no one wants to lose a family member, but given the difficulty she was facing, it wasn't a surprise. We're just all very happy now that she's out of her suffering. She lived a long life. She was in her, I believe, her 70s, late 70s. So yeah, we'll have her memorial next week, and I don't want to bring the show down with that, but I know my cousin Lou watches. I'm not sure if his sisters tune in that much, but I wanted to let them know we're thinking about them since that happened this morning. So let's get into the show. I thank you also, Ed, for sharing with me that press conference. I think Kathy Powers also tagged me on Facebook when it was live. Our mayor, Lori Lightfoot, met with New York Mayor Adams in a mayoral powwow regarding how to deal with violence. I was trying to download the press conference from YouTube so that I could edit select clips to go over. Unfortunately, my downloader was not working right, but we do have some highlights from the CBS Chicago report that went out today. And I'm going to run that first, and then we can kind of get into the article on what went down and talk about it.
Now to the crime crisis happening in Chicago. Overall, crime in the city up 34% so far this year. Motor vehicle thefts, an issue that we've been covering for months now, they're up 44%. Robberies, another crime we've been watching, up 10%. This afternoon, Mayor Lori Lightfoot met with New York City's mayor looking for some solutions. CBS 2's Jermont Terry is at City Hall right now. Jermont, the mayors just spoke. Did we learn of anything that they were able to accomplish?
No.
Ray, the two would not discuss into specifics about everything.
No specifics.
We should point out that this is Mayor Eric Adams' first time here in Chicago as NYC's leader. And as you mentioned, crime is dominating the headlines for both Chicago and New York City. And therefore, the mayors today, they met for about 45 minutes here at City Hall to discuss strategies for community safety. The big question, what can Lightfoot take from Adams and vice versa to tackle the uptick in violent crimes? It was just last night, an 11-year-old boy was among 4 shots in West Garfield Park. CPD tells us this was a drive-by. It comes just days after another mass shooting last weekend where 7 people were injured. Now, the two mayors believe this type of gun violence is the bigger problem overall, saying that the guns are disproportionately coming into disadvantaged communities.
And the mayor and I are clear. We are not going to remain silent. We're not going to pretend as though there is some conscious failures that are taking place.
We've got to do more to make sure that we intervene in a proactive way.
Proactive, she's saying now.
Support and love to these young people at the earliest possible stage in life.
Is she revising her statements after having watched several of our shows?
It's interesting, Ed, because having watched the whole thing, when she started talking about being intervening proactively, that's all I reflected on, is us talking about that here, when all she's normally doing is shoveling money to the police department to deal with it afterwards. Now, on one level, I'm grateful to hear her use that kind of framing. On the other hand, I just feel that it's election season and it's platitude season. And
Yeah,
I think
it's
that
all talk.
it's all talk. And I don't really know a whole lot about this Mayor Adams, but it's interesting to me that actually, let me reduce this screen here. That was actually the key thing I took away from it was her talking about dealing with things proactively, because she made the time to meet with Mayor Adams of New York while these
She didn't
communities.
make much time to meet with him, though. Didn't that guy say 45 minutes?
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
That's not
I
a lot
mean,
of time to
45
talk.
minutes, but they got a lot of TV time tonight off of it after they had scheduled these online community town hall meetings that they postponed. And I was thinking, were they postponed to be rescheduled as live meetings, which is a whole other issue we talked about last show with the concerns regarding, the what's left over of the pandemic. But that she met with this mayor, I'm wondering if she was like trying to like get her cliff notes in order to prepare for these town hall meetings that have been rescheduled to get input from the community. It's great that she's talking to a mayor of another large metropolitan city that's dealing with the same issues, but it doesn't make me feel very confident that she's, as we've already talked about, really well equipped to deal with the issues if she's waiting to meet with mayors of other cities before she takes the input from the communities that these community town halls are meant to foster.
So I think this entire conversation that Mayor Lightfoot was having with the mayor and that press conference was a complete BS. Edward, you hit it spot on. It's platitude season. 2023 will be the next city election here in the city of Chicago. Mayor Lightfoot has indicated that she plans on running for a second term, which I think will be a complete disaster for the people of Chicago. And I'll explain why. Number one, she had ample opportunities to reach out to the communities on the south side, west side, yes, even on the north side of Chicago, to actually help out struggling inner city children and students that are right now struggling day in, day out. Because let's face it, ever since 2019, what have we been seeing? People still being evicted from their homes and apartments, added in with the pandemic. Evictions are still happening. Homelessness is on the rise. Businesses are being shut down here in the city of Chicago, especially entrepreneurships. A lot of small business owners here are suffering every single day under this mayor and her inept administration. She has access to the TIF funds, which the mayor refuses to use. And on top of that, we could use those TIF funds to fund our public schools. She's talking about being actively involved. Well, gee, how about the city actually help out Jamal Green's project and actually opening up a community center and using one of those abandoned schools, these 54 Chicago public schools that were shut under Rahm Emanuel's mayoral watch. How about actually using these resources to help actually build trust in the communities and actually making these communities stand for themselves, giving an incentive, creating job programs. But this is something that Mayor Lightfoot is incapable of doing. What she is capable of doing is dressing up, dancing around like a clown, like a leprechaun, like the Rona Destroyer, all the while turning a blind eye to real. That is true. Yeah, and everyone should scream right now. Everyone should be furious at this mayor. She's saying, what, active involvement? Hey, Mayor Lightfoot, if you're watching our show, what took you so long? What took you so long to actually care about the citizens of Chicago? Hey, Mayor Lightfoot, during 2020, you raised up the bridges here in the city. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? Protect your precious little inner heart of Chicago where all the rich people live? Hey, Mayor Lightfoot, how come you don't use the TIF funds to actually invest on the south side and west side? Hey, Mayor Lightfoot, there's a lot of environmental racism that's happening here. You got these industrial facilities that are polluting south side and west side neighborhoods. Hey, Mayor Lightfoot, what are you going to do about the Mad Asphalt plant that is still operating without a permit, that was built there in 2018 without no one from the state of Illinois, city of Chicago, Cook County, informing the residents of 12th Ward that it's been construction? What are you going to do about the police corruption, Mayor Lightfoot? You had ample opportunities. I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, now we're going to do engagement because election season is there. How convenient. Waiting for the last freaking minute when you could have done something from day one. But you're so much of a sniveling coward, I don't believe any word that she says. And while it is great that she's talking to other mayors, hey, mayors of the United States, no matter what city you're part of, be it a big city or a small city, don't take advice from Lightfoot because she doesn't give a damn about the people of Chicago.
I think Kit covered it all. Good night, everybody. No, in all seriousness. No, Kit, you did. You covered all the points that we have not seen her acting on during this initial part of her term up until now. Election season is coming up. Now, they also say in the Sun-Times article, last week she ran off to Miami, a 2-day trip to Miami, mostly devoted to political fundraising, and then returned late Thursday to graciously accommodate her New York counterpart.
Can I ask you a question?
Go right ahead. What does she need from Florida? Why does she go to Florida for fundraising? Who's back?
Who's in Miami that's interested in Chicago politics?
Yep, exactly.
What is going on, Lightfoot?
Who's paying her off from Florida for interests in Chicago? I'm going to speculate. Real estate people, big businesses that want to move to Chicago.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Oh, that I almost said the bad word. Yeah, I don't understand how she is still operating, given what an odious, utterly corrupt piece of shit that she is, especially when it was exposed a week or two ago, and you covered this, where she decided to invest in stocks related to profiting off of the war in November. She was, I think, at the top of the list.
She was, or near top of the list. Yeah.
Yep. Kathy Powers in the live chat says, I don't know why people are stealing cars. They don't have enough money for gas unless Willie helps them. We're going to get to that in a story in a few minutes, Kathy. Willie Wilson throwing money out to buy the election again. But yeah, this is too little too late, and I don't really think it's going to manifest into anything. I didn't have enough time before the show to read up on Mayor Adams's background, although in the press conference, it was interesting because a few reporters asked Mayor Adams how his meeting was with Mayor Lightfoot, because he was very critical about the way that she handled the masking situation in the schools. And he played the political two-step, dancing around it. While I wasn't really critical, I was just making comments or words to that effect to kind of basically butter up the fact that he and Lightfoot were there to talk about something else, and he didn't want prior criticisms that he had about Mayor Lightfoot to, I guess, muddy the PR opportunity they had.
Yeah, I think his Cliff's Notes version was, well, New York is going to New York and Chicago is going to Chicago, and I'm not going to tell Chicago how to Chicago.
Thank you. That's exactly. Yep. You summed it up much better than I could. Kathy Powers, I'm voting for Willie. He's visibly crazy and makes no bounds about it. You know,
I voted for Willie last time.
Did you really?
Seriously.
I am not. I like when Willie reaches out to the community and does things, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we've got another story before we get to Willie Wilson. But this altruism he seems to show at election season, buying gas for people, giving out money, I don't know that he's doing that like prior to when election season comes up. So the opportunism of like serving himself by throwing money around to help people when it's going to benefit him is what concerns me as far as.
Oh yeah,
plus
he's definitely doing the gas stunts because he's running again.
Of course he is. And you know, no offense, but I can barely understand what the guy's saying. I've referred to him in the past as Mushmouth Wilson. It's very, very difficult to understand what he's saying at a press conference. You know, when I've seen him in prior debate, not that I should speak since I stumble and stutter so much myself.
Well, you know, Jerry, it's way more important what you do than what you say.
That's true. But what I'm saying is that it seems the only time he's coming out to do something is shoveling out money and buying gas for people when it's getting close to election season or close to him announcing he's going to run for mayor again.
Yeah, well, maybe if somebody happened in his campaign or someone connected to him is watching us tonight, you know that, you know, he could keep doing good deeds for people, you know, when it's not election season, and then maybe on the odd chance that he actually gets elected this time, you know, maybe he could do some good for this city if he gets
the rest of the
you know, here's the thing. I do want to do a follow-up interview with Willie Wilson, because my interview that I did with him in 2019 was by far my most favorite interview I have ever done in the history of Heartland's media and Chicago Corner.
And what was your takeaway? I want to hear all this because I haven't seen that interview, but is it archived on the Chicago?
Oh,
Corner?
yes, it is. In fact, okay. I'll send you the link, and I'll have to go and find it because I think it's hilarious. But it was.
I didn't get free gas, Kathy. No, I did not participate.
No, I didn't get free gas either. But You know what? I don't want to wait. I don't think you ever saw my interviews with the mayoral candidates, even with Mayor Lightfoot. Did you?
I watched a few of them, and I have to say it was last year, so I don't remember when I first came to the channel. I was going through the older videos, and I think I watched the one you did with Amara Enya. I may have watched part of the one you did with Lightfoot, but I didn't get through all of them because they were all it was history at that point.
I watched the one with Lightfoot, but it was so long ago that the only thing I remembered was just how much taller you are than her.
Yes, that's true.
So what was your takeaway from?
To me,
what was
I thought especially on his takeaway with in regards to Rahm Emanuel not showing up. He said that there's something mentally wrong with Rahm Emanuel, that he is clinically insane and should be locked up in an asylum.
He is a sociopath. Look, Rahm Emanuel, whether we all like it or not, is a textbook sociopath. That sociopaths don't necessarily kill people. Psychopaths have sociopathy where they kill people, but you don't have to be a killer to be a sociopath. And Rahm, and I would say to some effect, Lori too, have got very sociopathic tendencies. What is sociopathy? An inability to feel what other people are feeling, a lack of empathy, a lack of conscience, with all the things that these mayors, all the decisions that these mayors are making wrongly, that affect and impact so many people, that I understand. I mean, no, I can't understand the disconnect you must have to go into public service to be able to disconnect from the damage that you're doing in some of your decisions that you think are for the right reasons, although they're not for the right reasons. They're to enrich your donors, to serve agendas that have nothing to do with serving the public. That's sociopathy. That disconnect and lack of conscience and how the decisions you're making impact the people who are most reliant on your leadership and your representation to protect and support them.
You know what? I actually found the video in it. I actually found the video. So hold on. I know that the show's live, but I'm going to put it in the private chat.
Yeah, we can watch some of it. Well, let me finish this story, but let's bring that up when we go into the Willie Wilson story. I just want to, definitely share it in the private chat. I'll bring it up, but I want to take a couple key points from the Chicago Sun-Times article about the joint news conference today. Adams credited Lightfoot as a mayor who gets it, that understands the need to focus simultaneously on intervention and prevention. Now she realizes that intervention and prevention is important. Quote, "We have to turn off the faucet that is continually feeding the river of violence in our cities," Adams said, saying there is a tint of racism when anything that happens outside of the black and brown communities is defined as a crisis. I agree with him on that. The mayor and I are clear. We are not going to remain silent. We are not going to pretend as though there aren't some conscious failures taking place. By the time the police interact with a young person with a gun, the system already failed. He's absolutely fucking right. We call the police to do everything. We are now bringing in the idea of having community involvement and damming the rivers that feed the sea of violence in our cities. That can speak to these community town halls that are going to be scheduled, I guess, now live. But it's interesting when he says, we call on the police to do everything. That's essentially what Lightfoot's done for most of her term, shoveling money to the police, taking our COVID funds to increase police overtime, and not dealing with the root causes in these neighborhoods that we are talking about literally like every week, if not every other week. Lightfoot said she too is laser focused on stopping the pull of the souls of our young people to the streets. If a young person grows up in a neighborhood and doesn't see and touch and can feel opportunity at their fingertips and believes that their only purpose in life, the only destiny that they have, is to mind somebody's corner drug spot, that's a fail for all of us, she said. Really? How many times has she shut out somebody like Jamal Green regarding those aforementioned youth centers you talked about a moment ago, Kit, that he's come on the show and talked about? We're aligned on that. We've got to do more to make sure that we intervene in a proactive way to provide support and love to these young people at the earliest possible stage in life. Kit, take it away.
Okay, so again, Lightfoot, where were you at with all this action early on in your first year of your administration? You've had all this opportunity to actually reach out to people like Jamal Green and to so many other heroic activists and community organizers that are trying to uplift the south side of Chicago, the west side of Chicago. But your mayoral administration is, again, helping shutting down these public schools, shutting down these activists, these community organizers that are trying to uplift their communities that have been wrongly ignored by the city of Chicago. Mayor Lightfoot, You could have done a lot of great things, but now you're waiting at the last minute and you're virtual signaling and you're just lying out your mouth about how you all of a sudden, out of the blue, you care about struggling working class families in the city of Chicago. Where's your policy on UBI? Where's your policy in actually making sure that there's rent forgiveness and protecting small business owners? How come you're turning a blind eye to police corruption? How come you're turning a blind eye to the fact there's still lead in Chicago's drinking water? There were 54 Chicago public schools that were shut under Rahm Emanuel's administration. What are you doing to reverse those policies? What about helping out the homeless? As we've seen right now, inflation is on the rise and people are still being evicted from their homes and apartments, Mayor Lightfoot. And Chicago is a major metropolitan city, and there are a lot of people that are leaving Chicago because it's now unaffordable to live here. Mayor Lightfoot, wow, at the last minute, you grew a heart. But hey, I guess during all the time.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. Sorry, I have to interject there. No, she's
sorry.
Pretending she grew.
I know. I'm being sarcastic here.
I know.
But I'm just saying she has time to play dress up and act like a clown and then tell people, oh, well, there's certain things we can and cannot do for Chicago, but you got to trust me. Mayor Lightfoot, this city despises you. And the fact that you think you have the audacity, in fact, somewhere in your mind, you think that you can somehow get reelected in this city and people are going to respect you. Remember in the last election, 2019, it was the lowest voter turnout in the city of Chicago. So that means a small minority of this population needs to turn out to vote for you and support you. That means the vast majority of Chicagoans don't even believe in the city government. They don't believe in you. They don't trust you, because what's the point of voting for this corrupt system when we all know for a fact you, Mayor Lightfoot, as well as all your fantastic friends in the city council here in the city of Chicago, will backstab us. We know what to expect from you. So what, you're telling us that we got to support you now? All of a sudden you care? Bullshit. This is why we need to get involved and why more good people in the city of Chicago need to step up. What we have representing us right now in this mayor and in the city council just doesn't work. And people in this city need to stand up, because I believe that there are good people in Chicago. All we need to do is speak out and say no more to this.
There's good people here.
Yeah, I know. I was getting it queued up, but I was having we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do it.
We got to do it. We got to do it.
Chicago isn't beyond saving. Give me more time. There are good people here. I'm having some sluggishness with showing stuff in the live chat. Yeah, Kit, once again, right on point. Adams was asked what he can possibly learn from a city that has had roughly, I didn't know this. This is terrifying. Chicago has had roughly 4 times more homicides and 5 times more shootings than New York. And we're smaller. He responded by talking about Lightfoot's decision to hold local town halls, which we talked about. Again, I think the timing is like she didn't know how she was going to manage those town halls, so she met with him before these things are rescheduled to speak with grassroots communities about crime and about Chicago's recent decision to reduce historical barriers standing in the way of police hiring. We're going to look to duplicate that in New York, he said. Chicago and New York are both struggling mightily to control a crime wave that has pretty much continued unabated since the pandemic and the demonstrations that developed into civil unrest following the murder of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officers. Both cities are struggling to fill a surge of vacancies from a tidal wave of police retirements. Meanwhile, police officers who remain on the job are increasingly hesitant for fear of being videotaped or disciplined. Well, if you do your fucking jobs right, you don't need to fear being videotaped or disciplined. That's a simple solution right there. Do your jobs the way you're trained, interact with the community, bridge the gap, show that you're not looking at everybody as the enemy and that you want to actually help improve these communities instead of deciding I've feared for my life, bang. And then we got to sort out the mess later with taxpayer funds to cover the lawsuits. A former police officer who rose to the rank of captain, Adams' blueprint to end gun violence has parallels to Lightfoot's whole of government approach. Both mayors have branded their crime problems as a public health crisis. Both rely heavily on expanded use of community-based violent interrupters, including former gang members.
Reopen the mental health facilities.
Yeah. Invest in neighborhoods. Everything Kit was saying earlier.
Give people
Lightfoot,
money.
Give people opportunities. Money comes from opportunities.
Also money.
Okay, money too, given what everybody lost. But Adams, yeah, I agree with you, Ed. I'm Okay, let's talk about that really quickly. When people don't have boots, they can't pick themselves up by their bootstraps. So yes, they need money, especially in these communities that have literally been abandoned and look like demilitarized war zones. Absolutely. There's got to be some kind of stimulus. There's got to be some kind of UPI when you see that income disparity between people living in these communities, citizens, Chicagoans living in these communities, and the rest of the city. Lightfoot is completely disconnected from that. So yeah, I hear you on that. Now, Adams, though, has stirred controversy in New York by proposing to bring back a softer, gentler version of the NYPD's plainclothes anti-crime unit that played a major role during the stop and frisk era. Now, Lightfoot has categorically rejected stop and frisk tactics. Has she? Has she really, or is she just saying that? I don't know. She and Police Superintendent David Brown turned the page on a year that was Chicago's most deadly in a quarter century by establishing a goal of 1.5 million positive community interventions, which we talked about on Tuesday.
Yeah, we did.
Which are completely, the numbers of which seem completely manufactured to act like they're doing something, but maybe they're not.
We got our nice officer quotas we got to reach here. And, like when I did the thing that they don't let us call stop and frisk anymore, and I may have shoved you against the wall, it was a positive interaction, yes?
No, that's not how it works at all.
The police think it's positive because they're intimidating people and not potentially committing a crime. She and Police Superintendent David Brown turned the page on a year that was Chicago's most deadly in a quarter century by I'm repeating that paragraph. The Sun-Times reported earlier this week that the Illinois Attorney General's office has found so many problems with the program that it has urged the city's lawyers to suspend or at least pause the effort, calling it a quota system that is rife with significant downsides. Again, look at Tuesday's show. Adams said Friday that lack of trust is real. It cannot be denied. Everything from the Rodney King case all the way down to the Eric Garner case, those are the professional things that we all viewed. But we also have the Eric Adams case. To be arrested and beat by police officers is something that's embedded in just about every black boy in our country, he said. Yeah, you think? Former Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy, who rose through the ranks of the NYPD, said he has no idea what Adams expects to learn or what he expects to share with Lightfoot. Now, Gary McCarthy is, kind of a character himself. I think that he was a little bit more on the extreme right militant side and how he wanted to police the city until Rahm threw him under the bus to cover up for, I think it was how Laquan McDonald was handled.
Yeah, but not before Gary McCarthy taught the Chicago PD how to kettle protesters.
Yes, that too. All I can tell you, here's McCarthy. All I can tell you, I went to New York 2 weeks ago for a funeral, and everybody there is just swearing that the wheels came off. The crime problem is skyrocketing, just like it is in Chicago, McCarthy said. If there is an overriding and consistent crime-fighting strategy in Chicago, McCarthy said he hasn't seen it. The officers that I speak to say they don't know what the strategy is. And from everything I'm looking at, I don't know what the strategy is. Maybe there's a strategy I'm not aware of, McCarthy said. Brown appears to have a fluid strategy for fighting crime that's based on what's going on in front of him at the moment. During interim Superintendent Charlie Beck's brief tenure in Chicago, he ordered one of the most sweeping reorganizations in CPD history, putting hundreds of officers and detectives back in neighborhood districts. That's what we need to do. Well, we need to make them live in the neighborhoods and districts that they're policing. We talked about that Tuesday. That is something that I really think needs to be implemented. That's going to be the bridge between the community and the police department. If you're a cop and you are living in the neighborhood that you police, you're not looking at your neighbors and the citizens as the enemy. You're looking at them as your neighbors, and you're all trying to build that community positively, with or without the support of Mayor Lightfoot and the money that should be going into these communities. But that's a starting point. With homicide, shootings, and civil unrest surging, Brown reversed field and created large units that can be mobilized across the city. That approach stripped neighborhood police districts of 4 to 6 officers per watch to prevent more looting in the summer of 2020. Now, community safety teams that once included nearly 1,000 officers have been disbanded. All but roughly 100 officers have been returned to districts or moved into gang or gun investigations. Most recently, some undercover tactical teams have been reassigned to CTA buses and trains. During his tenure at CPD, McCarthy said he learned first, I don't know why they're going back to McCarthy all the time in this article, because I don't think he was a good police superintendent. I think he was, kind of a failure as well. But during his tenure at CPD, McCarthy said he learned firsthand how important it was to stick with his crime-fighting strategy instead of reacting to every brutal headline. When I came in 2011, I broke up those big task forces and geographic accountability was given to beat officers across the city, McCarthy said. I'm going to take pause here. I'm wondering if McCarthy is laying some groundwork for another announcement to run for mayor.
Probably. It'll happen. I think we're going to get another clown car circus.
Go ahead, Kit.
I think we're going to get another clown car circus rally again with different candidates. Only except, I don't think we're going to be having any kind of real progressives there or anyone that's really going to fight for Chicago. I hope we do. I hope a certain person we do respect does actually decide to throw his hat in the ring. But knowing Chicago politics and the environment that we're in, we're going to get a lot of neoconservatives and neoliberal and corporatist sellouts. That's what we're going to probably get.
Wrapping up this article, McCarthy's getting a lot of ink in this article, which makes me suspect, to interject himself into this particular story is indicative of the fact he's probably thinking about throwing his hat in again. 2012 was not a great year. I was getting my butt kicked by everybody, whether it was by aldermen or you media guys saying this strategy doesn't work. Fast forward to 2013 and 2014, that's when it really kicked in. If I abandoned it in 2012, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah, he's already started campaigning. He's definitely started campaigning. All right, gentlemen, on to our next story.
Oh, we got Wardeer Entertainment in the chat there.
Wardeer Entertainment.
Hey, Warren.
He was a guest host on Chicago Corner. Was it last week?
I think so, and had us on his show.
Yeah, we maybe should have had him on to talk about Mayor Adams.
Oh, I think we should do that. So, okay, guys, Jussie Smollett released from county jail during appeal. The second juice, as I call him Juicy, the second juice is on the loose. That's all I'm saying about that. We're done with this fucking clown. The fact that he got his attorneys to get him out of jail, unlike anybody else that's in jail awaiting an appeal, just speaks to the fucking privilege that these celebrities who can just, rules for thee, not for me. Guy like him who's got a crack legal team is always going to get off the hook, despite the fact he literally tried to ignite more, rioting here in Chicago or civil unrest based on claiming he was the victim of a hate crime during what was a completely powder keg situation. All right, so let's go to our next story. I mean, I teased the Juicy story, but there's not much more to say about him because I'm just. All right, so let me run the video on this one from WGN9. This is fun. Well, where's the audio?
Well, a very generous gesture of free gas for thousands of Chicagoans creates chaos across the city. And good afternoon to you. I'm Lourdes Duarte.
And I'm Ben Bradley. Thanks for joining us. Chicagoans lined up for hours today to get that chance at free gas given away by perennial political candidate and businessman Willie Wilson.
But not everyone is thrilled with the free fill-ups. WGN's Rob Sneed is live in Humboldt Park with more. What happened, Rob?
Well, chaos will be an understatement. You mentioned the traffic jams, so many of those this morning, and the folks we spoke with today, a lot of them were thankful for the gas, but as you also mentioned, there were folks just trying to get to school, trying to get to work, and it certainly caused a headache. And even now, hours after it's all said and done, you still have gas stations like this one on Pulaski and Grand with the sign that says no more free gas, but yet folks keep on coming up and they keep asking. I ain't get my gas. They said it was too many people, man. I want my gas. That's what many were openly saying. They soon realized they were too late to fill up. The free gas went fast.
Willie!
Go find Willie, man.
Price, it was $4.77.
He gives out the free gas, then he bails and leaves everyone else to clean up the traffic mess.
It wasn't.
The businessman who ran for mayor twice.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. There he is.
Oh, did he go from gas station to gas station?
He might have done that, and that's what probably caused the confusion.
I'm hoping to go orderly. People is
former mayoral candidate.
I see this, I see all the other areas around here. It just tells me I gotta dig in my pocket more.
Skycam 9 captured it all, and it looked just as busy from the ground. Some folks filling up were irritated, saying the traffic caused them to be late to school and work.
I'm just trying. I'm doing work. I'm doing DoorDash.
How'd you get caught in here?
Trying to deliver over here on Whipple. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I wish I could stay in line to get it, but I refuse. I'm not gonna do it.
So that's why I didn't get my DoorDash.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but not this.
Over at
I'm
this
kidding. I didn't order DoorDash.
Brandon Pulaski, the signs are clear. No more free gas. Though it was busy, everything ran smoothly.
We were trying to get them in easily. It's a little bit difficult because, everyone wanted to get their free gas, and that's great. And we want to do our part, make sure everyone gets in and out as easily as possible.
The lines are just one indication of just how much the price of gas impacts lives.
This is times of need. Gas is really high. Unfortunately, families are in financial issues.
Okay, so again, the gas station owners that I spoke with today want to emphasize this sign.
No more free gas.
No more gasoline.
Until he does it again.
Scheduled for the 31st. Of course, we'll probably be on top of that as well and bringing the information when we get that. For now, reporting live at Pulaski and Grand, Rob Sneed.
What did you say, Ed? Until he does it again.
Yeah, on the 31st.
He'll do it again.
He'll
fucking do it again. Do it again.
Yes, he will. Yes.
Oh, he'll do it again. All right.
Boom.
Yeah,
That's
let's just hope he figures out a better way to do it that doesn't completely snarl traffic next time.
He won't, Ed, and that's what concerns me about him being mayor of Chicago.
You know what? Here's the thing. You know what? Give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Maybe he could make a deal to give out some free debit cards or something so people can pay for gas with those, and then he can do it in a place that isn't going to stop traffic. But who knows?
Yeah.
So go ahead, Kit. Go ahead.
I actually posted the 2 videos that were way back from Hard Lens Media's infancy. So if you're interested in playing them,
yes, I'm going into the private chat, but I wanted to quickly quote a couple of, I thought. Really juicy comments from Reddit. One Reddit user said, because he was doing it for the publicity for his useless campaigns, not just altruism. Another Reddit commenter said, I was at the mayoral forum a few years ago. Really entertaining, highly recommended. Someone asked him about buying votes or something because, again, he's throwing money. And Willie's like, when they tell me it's illegal to give my money away, I'll stop giving it away. So he knows what he's doing, guys. He knows what he's doing.
It's not illegal to do what he's doing right now.
No, it's not. Let me get to the. So, Kit, you sent me 2 links. Which one should I bring up first?
Play the first one because the first one is the collage of all the mayoral candidates, but Willie Wilson is the one that gives the closing remarks, and then the third one is my full interview. It's like 3 minutes with Willie Wilson.
Should I jump ahead to the closing remarks with Willie in this particular compilation?
In the first video, it's like 2 minutes and 56 seconds of me interviewing all the candidates. Trust me, it's worth.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure.
In fact, if we only could play one video, then this would be the video.
No, we'll run both. We got time.
Except for one. Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Yet again, Mayor Rahm Emanuel is not here. Again, he's not really participating in these forums or debates as well as previous other forums. What kind of statement do you want to make? What is your response for Mayor Emanuel's lack of participating in these forums and debates?
To be here? Well, if I had been in his shoes, I wouldn't have came either. Because he's not like.
Well, he's not participating because he doesn't have a good story to tell, and he tries to avoid any opportunity to appear at somewhere where he could possibly get booed.
Look, I think on this incredibly important conversation.
There's Lightfoot. Wow, she is shorter in person.
Speaks volumes.
Jesus Christ, she's
what
tiny.
He cares about and what he doesn't.
She's a leprechaun.
He's not going to do anything he's not forced to do.
Speaking of Gary,
it fits his pattern. What's my statement on his lack of participation in any democratic exercise?
Well, I have nothing to say for the mayor. He's going to do what he's going to do.
Oh, Mara.
I don't have anything to say. He has the right to. He's going to definitely have to be a part of it once we're on the ballot.
I think it's really.
Dorothy Brown, former corrupt Cook County.
These forms.
I think it's something that people should be aware of.
I ran into his dad twice.
Themselves out. We're
campaigning for his son.
Be agreed upon or might not be agreed upon, but we have to convey our message to the citizens of Chicago. And if somebody's not willing to do that, then they shouldn't be eligible to run for mayor.
If you want to be the mayor of this great city, you've got to get out there. You've got to meet people. You've got to listen to
God,
them.
she's
And
tiny.
You've got to demonstrate a level of compassion and empathy for the
You don't
daily
say.
struggle of everyday Chicagoans. And the fact that he won't come out.
You know what? I'm really not being facetious here. I really think that might have something to do with her Napoleon complex. Her thin
Yeah,
skin.
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
in these kinds of forum and interact with the citizens, to me, is disqualifying.
He gets the office. He does his PR.
What is she, 4 foot nothing?
It's not controlled. He's not there. He's never going to show up to something like this. He needs it controlled. He needs it staged. He needs paid applauders.
But once the debates happen, I think we'll be able to expose Ron for who he is.
For him, but I'm concerned, for running man, close out 48 of 50 school. Close down the mental health institute. Okay? Economic equality is not there in fairness. I would look, something wrong with him mentally.
He's not wrong.
With your mental.
He's not wrong. He's a sociopath.
He need to be in that.
And Willie brought up all the valid points right there.
Hold on,
Closed down
wait,
50 schools. He closed down all those mental health facilities.
There's something wrong with him. Yeah, so Willie Wilson, I got to do a follow-up interview with him. But AG saying Kid is exactly the same interview to interview, LOL. Well, here's the thing. After Willie Wilson said that, I had to pause and run outside to laugh out loud. That caught me off guard. And like I know a lot of people were saying, oh, was Kit 12 years old when he did that? Hey, first of all, I matured a little bit, okay, folks?
It takes years to grow a proper news mullet.
Yeah,
Look,
ladies and gentlemen.
It does.
Kit was starting out. He was all polished and coiffed. And I think that both looks look great. It just decides on which one you want to go with.
Yeah, this is the sides.
Let me go before we run the, and I am going to run the full interview you did with Willie Wilson, which is 3:57. But I want to go to first to reading about the follow up with. I just love this meme. It's just so fucking appropriate. Yes, he will. So next week he's up the ante. He's giving away $1 million in free gas next week in Chicago.
$1 million.
$1 million. Willie Wilson will give away $1 million more worth of gas next week, despite a similar stunt leading to hours-long traffic snarls in Chicago this week. And I do want to say, okay, so great, he's giving away free gas to people, but there were a lot of emergency vehicles that were affected by the backups and the traffic snarls that resulted in this stunt. Instead of just giving out the free gas cards, I mean, here's the thing too: he could have figured out a more logical, organized way to roll this out, as opposed to
he could have found some like large parking lots or something. You know, there's a bunch of places where there's like a grocery store type conglomerate mall with like a huge parking lot. There's a bunch of those all over the place that he could have done the giveaways, and it probably wouldn't have impacted traffic nearly as badly.
Yeah, and it was a big deal. Because great, you're helping the community, but when you're impacting the community with, I don't know, ambulances and police cars not being able to get through to important destinations, that's a problem.
Of course, he got a lot more press this way than he probably would have gotten if there hadn't been a bunch of traffic jams everywhere. So, maybe that was the part of the plan.
Are you saying it was calculated?
I can't say that for certain, Jerry, because that would just be speculation.
Fair enough. Drivers will be able to head to 50 gas stations in Chicago and the suburbs to get, you know what, maybe I will take advantage of this. I'm on empty. To get $50 worth of gas starting at 7 a.m. Thursday. Now, this is reported on...
$50? That's like a quarter tank.
Right?
$50.
So this is next Thursday, since this is reported on today. The event will run until $1 million worth of gas has been given away, according to a Wilson news release. Wilson has not yet released a list of which stations will participate. Check back for updates. This comes from Block Club Chicago, and this is from Mac Liederman.
For those unaware, I think the average price of gas in the Chicago area is somewhere between $4.75 and $5 a gallon right now.
Yeah. The philanthropist who made millions selling medical supplies held a similar giveaway this week, providing $200,000 worth of free gas at 10 stations in the city. The event quickly turned controversial. Drivers backed up streets for blocks around the station. Some residents couldn't travel, and long lines trapped commuters. Some said the giveaway was disorganized, while others questioned the environmental impact of having people idling in their cars for hours. Police officers, you know what? For all the idling that these people did in their cars, they were probably just refilling their tanks, waiting in line to get the new supply of gas. Police officers had to go to the stations as arguments erupted amongst drivers.
Watch all the gas stations raise the price of gas to $50 a gallon.
Wow. That would be smart.
That is illegal.
But
pretty sure it's illegal.
After he announces which gas stations, yeah, I guess. But drivers who got the free gas said they were grateful. Richard Boykin, a former Cook County Board Commissioner who was helping Wilson with the giveaway, said the first giveaway went exceedingly well, but they're working with officials to avoid problems. We don't want this good deed to get messed up or marred down by people complaining about they can't get to where they need to go. So we're working with the requisite agencies to make sure we have a better flow of traffic next Tuesday and not that much disruption, Boykin said. About $20,000 worth of gas will be doled out at each participating station, Boykin said. Alderman Maria Hodden of the 49th said Thursday's giveaway at a station in her ward caused a traffic disaster with people unable to leave for work, emergency vehicles unable to get through the streets. The local fire station compromised, police spread thin, and students endangered. This was irresponsible and reckless of Dr. Wilson, and the gas station owners, Haddon wrote on Twitter. On Friday, Haddon said she had heard about the gas giveaway through the news.
I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Oh. You know what helps me here, guys? You know what helps me here with this big...
There you go. There you go.
That's what gets me through this broadcast. I'm very supportive of people getting aid with gas. I'm supportive of the positive impact to a local business, Haddon said. I don't want to get in the way of this happening, but we need to coordinate it with the different city departments to ensure it's as safe as possible. Haddon said she's heard from some residents in her ward that they were really happy with this happening. Wilson has dismissed criticisms over the chaos from the first giveaway, saying alder people and other officials should put up money and pass policies to help residents. God damn it, he's right. I emphatically agree with him on that. He says, people don't say nothing when you got gridlock and traffic when they're going to the Bulls game or Sox game, Wilson said. You good, they're going to talk about you. You do bad, they're going to talk about you. Let me do good, let them talk about it. Can't argue with that. Gas prices have hit record highs recently in Chicago and across the United States. Russia invading Ukraine led to the increase, leaving some without a way to.
That's debatable, and resident really, because that was already happening.
Yeah, it was. And the other point that was brought up recently was the fact that everybody is now commuting again now that the pandemic is over, is why gas prices are going up during the war with whatever supply there is. Or Kid, is there something you know that I don't that you want to share on that point?
In regards to gas prices, as I covered on Harlan's Media on Monday, thankfully you gave me those links to that story about these politicians that were profiting off of it.
Right.
You know, before obviously Putin got the blame of the rising gas prices. Let's face it, the war does play a part. The inflation was already happening. This war in Ukraine is a perfect cover for that inflation. This is the inflation was inevitable, especially with all the failed policies in 2020 and in 2021. It was going to happen regardless whether there was a war in Ukraine or not.
Okay. In all, Wilson will have donated $1.2 million in gas with the event. Participating stations have lowered their prices so more people can get fuel, according to the news release, as we share right there, that he shared on Twitter. So let's go to the interview you did with Dr. Wilson, because you know what? Again, I don't, look, his antics are entertaining. Sometimes you think, how can you take this guy seriously? But as you share, Kit, maybe he is somebody we need to pay more attention to if others that we feel are more qualified do not throw their hats into the ring. So let me bring up this video that you did with Dr. Wilson last election cycle.
Kit with Harlan's Media. We're joined with one of the mayoral candidates, Willie Wilson, for the 33rd forum that's being hosted here today. Sir, thank you so much for joining Harlan's Media.
Hey, thank you for having us. Let me also say that I'm going to be frank and honest with you. That's the only way I know how. I'm not going to say anything to try to persuade you to vote for me if I don't believe in it myself. I am a Christian. I'm Baptist. I'm going to die Baptist. Yeah. And what we do today, we believe that you shouldn't be raising taxes on people. I believe that we have to have good schools. I believe we got to get rid of red light cameras. Describe
Yes.
poor people.
I'm in.
I believe we should not boot cars. That is another way of
I'm in.
Situation.
Of course, one of the controversial questions I was asked you was when the Sun-Times actually, posted an article where you were giving out money to potential voters.
Well, no, the paper was accurate. I did give money to those people at church this past Sunday. After we gave this money out to the
Thank you, AG.
What actually happened, you had 500, 700 people came off the street. A lot of those people did not have money, didn't have food to eat. $1.5 million to churches. We give about $300,000 a year to people in the street who do not have an address. You kick them down while they're already down. We all still human beings. We have to change this whole situation. And when I become mayor, we will integrate this city, Black, white, Latina, Asian American.
So this is a good point in the live chat from our friend Art. Wilson is very humble, but I don't know if he's a leader for the city. Can you see him changing the city around? Despite the good deeds he's doing, that's, I think, at the heart of my concern. Yeah.
Yeah, it is truly debatable.
Would be like,
as I said earlier, it depends on who he surrounds himself with.
To replace it.
One of the questions that was also asked you at this forum was who you voted for, and you mentioned that you did vote for Bruce Rauner as well as Donald Trump. So can you always explain to our viewers and subscribers why you made that vote for two very controversial figures here in Illinois and nationwide?
We got choices to make. Don't mean they're the right choices, things of that nature. But a lot of people also voted for Rahm Emanuel.
Yeah.
Who had a young man, come up 16 times shot. That's my own personal opinion. If you're going to shoot a person 16 times, how much more can you kill them? Police reform just simply got to be this right here. You got to take and integrate the police department. If you got all white people and black neighborhood, that don't work. And also, I think that the union should be fair with its people. Equality. Got nothing against union, but equality must be there. I think we need trade in school. Everybody not set out to have a good education, but you can get a good trade, still make the dollars you need to take care of your families. These are things that are valued to me. If I'm elected, we'll do right by everybody. For him, but I'm concerned, for running man, close up 48 or 50 schools. Okay? Economic equality is not there in fairness. He needs to pack up. I'm telling Ronnie Man right here tonight, he needs to pack up right now.
Thank you very much for joining Harlan's Media. This is Kit, everyone. Peace.
Oh my God.
In response in the chat, Kathy, I would venture to opine his package is bigger than Lightfoot's. So I do think that's important.
Also, AG. Hey, listen. My haircut was just fine, buddy. My hair is just fine now.
At least I would say this. I'm sure at least at that time, Kit had a barber. I think Grimm cuts his own hair. Look, again, I'm on the fence about Wilson. He's not very well spoken, but I do think his heart's in the right place. But again, as Art mentioned, Is he leadership material? I don't know. As you said, it depends on the people he surrounds himself with.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, I mean, that's something we're gonna have to learn about when they start running again. You know, if we start asking the candidates questions again, these are going to be some of the things we're going to want to ask. You know, who do you support in your campaign for doing this or doing that? You know, what kind of people do you want, you know, running your police department? What kind of people do you want running, you know, other things like education, you know,
How do you solve these problems?
Other city services, you know.
Who are you surrounding yourself with to solve these problems? Platitudes, we've had it up to here. Not even here with the platitudes. And I don't think Willie Wilson is all platitudes because, yeah, he does act.
Yeah,
But,
so it's going to be, and I'm glad we got to watch the candidate roundup from 2018 because it's kind of giving us a little bit of a preview of what we're probably going to be seeing for this upcoming election. I'll bet at least half of the candidates we saw in there are probably going to try running again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At least he has a heart. Yeah, Kathy, I agree with you. And Art Medina, Kit looked all clean cut back then. Now he's all rock and roll. He is.
Rock and roll, folks.
All right, let's go into our next story. Some justice here in Chicago. A little late in coming, but let me play the video from Channel 5 Chicago. And where's my audio? Come on.
Federal court for charges of fraud and money laundering of campaign funds. This former Chicago alderman, Ricardo Munoz, was just sentenced in federal court for charges of fraud and money laundering of campaign funds. Now, prosecutors say he spent thousands of dollars on vacations and personal expenses. NBC5's Christian Farr on the story for us. He's live outside the court right now with more. Christian.
Good evening, Allison. The former alderman not happy with this sentence. He was hoping for probation. He will now have to serve 13 months in federal prison after pleading guilty to stealing tens of thousands of dollars from a caucus he once served on. Now, during the court proceedings, Munoz expressed emotion and said he was remorseful for what he had done. Munoz told the judge, quote, "What I did was wrong. I am ashamed. I am a convicted felon.
Sure he is.
For the court remorseful. I humbly ask."
Because he got caught.
Morris Pasquale said that Munoz stole this money because he was greedy and told the judge he wanted him sentenced to at least 1 year and 1 day in prison. Of course, he got longer time than that. Now, Munoz announced his retirement from city council in 2018 and pled guilty last year to taking nearly $40,000 from the Chicago Progressive Reform Caucus, using that money for his personal expenses. Munoz's attorney and longtime friend, Richard Kling, asked for probation.
It's sad. He was a wonderful guy. He did a lot for the community, as you heard from some witnesses. I have reams of paper of kids' basketball teams and baseball teams that he worked with. As I said to
well, that's important. The basketball and the baseball teams.
Tremendous price. Hopefully he'll get on with his life.
Again, Munoz not happy with this decision. Now, Kling had asked the judge that Munoz self-surrender, and so the judge accepted that, and so Munoz did walk out of court. He's expected to turn himself in to federal authorities on June 1st, and he wants to serve that time in Duluth, Minnesota. Reporting live here at the Dirksen, Christian Farr, NBC5 News.
Christian. They must have better amenities in Duluth, Minnesota.
Wait, he wants to serve that time in Minnesota? Like he asked to serve? Like,
I guess.
Like he had a choice?
Dude, if you're Juicy Smollier or Alderman Munoz, you're better than
You're
the rest
okay.
of us. You get to choose. Now,
You get to choose where you get to go.
right? From the Associated Press, they share. Let me read a quote from the article. Is it reported by? Okay, I don't have a byline for the reporter. Before he sentenced Ricardo Munoz on Thursday, U.S. District Judge John Ness told the former six-term 22nd Ward Alderman that if he allowed him to avoid prison, the community would draw the wrong message and a negative message. People need to get the message that public figures are held to a higher standard. And if you didn't want to be held to a higher standard, you shouldn't run 6 times for alderman, Ness said. Good point. Why then are we hearing that he's like asking for where he can serve his term? serve his sentencing. Wire
I don't know.
fraud,
I mean,
money
is
laundering.
is that a
beginning
thing
conspiracy-
that your lawyer can request for you? I mean,
well-
is that a normal thing? I don't know.
Dude,
it just seemed odd to me to hear that.
It is. And you know, again, not to keep bringing up Juicy, but the fact that he was sentenced and now he was able to appeal his sentencing to get out because his appeal may have taken longer than the time he's going to be spending in jail. If you got the money to pay the attorneys, you can get out of fucking anything. And even then, not always. But from my experience anyway, from some business legal matters that I've had to deal with. But yeah, it's just a lawyer from Munoz, Richard Kling, noted in court that Munoz had paid back all but $6,891 of the stolen funds, $6,891 of the stolen funds, which the judge ordered him to pay in restitution. Munoz, who announced his retirement from Chicago City Council in 2018, is the latest in the long line of Chicago City Council members convicted of federal crimes. We need more of our city council members convicted of these crimes. And thankfully, I do think the feds have got their spotlight on the corruption here in Chicago. I mean, it's taking a little while. We had Patrick Thompson Daly recently indicted. Now Munoz, Madigan. I guess the wheels of justice turn slowly, but eventually they catch up with these people. Patrick Daley Thompson, the grandson and nephew of Chicago's two longest-serving mayors, was convicted by a federal jury last month of tax crimes and making false statements. The conviction cost Thompson, who was set for sentencing on July 6th, his seat on the council. I wonder what his sentencing is going to be like, or if he's going to be allowed to ask for where he's allowed to serve out his sentence.
Yeah, we still don't know who is replacing Thompson either. The mayor sounded like she's still trying to figure that out. So
Yeah.
we may find that out on the next episode of Chicago Corner on Tuesday. But stay tuned to see who's going to be taking over the 11th ward, at least on a temporary basis.
Yeah, well, you know, Ed, she's busy. She's busy with her press opportunities, is what she's busy with. That's what she's focusing on. She has not yet filled the vacancy in the city's inspector general department. She has not yet filled these city council positions that she needs to fill to represent those wards. But she's campaigning. The campaign has begun.
Look, Jerry, I have to spend a whole 45 minutes talking with other mayors and also planning how to get that second bean on top of the other bean that's in Millennium Park from the TIF funds, because we have to prioritize that project. And you know, I just can't fit all the time in there to make sure that the 11th ward has an alderman who's representing their interests.
Let's be very clear about Mayor Lightfoot and how she's running things. You know, if she's so confident in running the city, hey, pull your dick out and wave it around. Maybe that might solve things. Okay, Lightfoot, do it.
She's already stated she's got the biggest one. Yeah, maybe that will help move things forward faster.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, moving into our last story, as if anybody really cared, but here. Mayoral clown car candidate John Catanzara.
I love this.
Are you all shaking in your boots over this?
Woogie, boogie, boogie.
Also known as Clown Tanzara.
Clown Catanzara. I like that. I hadn't heard that before. We'll have to start referring him as Clown Catanzara. Thank you.
Hey, E. Heller, copyright that, type it down, and we'll use it for Chicago Corner in future stories.
Hashtag Clown Tanzara.
There you go.
Orange yours. Lightfoot sounds like Bane with laryngitis. Yeah, she does.
I was born in the dark. Molded by it.
I was born in the darkness. I was molded by it. You merely adopted the darkness. All right, so I want to going back to our last story really quickly. All right, so this is an interesting point. Let me take our next story off real quickly. JR shares, sorry, I disagree. The feds are just as corrupt, if not more, than politicians. They are most likely other reasons for them to get involved, maybe like getting the feds angry and they retaliate. Possibly. Okay, so JR, look. Are the feds just as corrupt on many levels? I think that they are, especially when it comes to our financial markets and our administrations and legislature. I will say, though, I'm at least grateful that they have targeted some of our local corrupt representatives, whether it's Madigan, Thompson Daly, or Munoz. And as much as it took some time, I'm waiting for them to get to Gardner. I want them to take Gardner down. I don't know if there's enough. No, I don't think that. Sadly, I don't think there's enough dirt on Lightfoot to take her down for something. There might be, with the way that she decided to disperse the federal funds, the federal COVID funds, to pay down city debt. But I don't think that's going to go anywhere as far as like impacting her personally in any kind of a corruption charge. But let me go back to the story that we're reporting on. So Catanzara. Why did you call him, Ed?
It's Clown Tan
Catanzara. I blame this. Okay. Catanzara threatens political retribution against 3 of police union's strongest city council supporters. Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzara is demanding that 3 of his union's strongest city council supporters choose between their loyalties to his group and their allegiance to the firefighters union. This is like Eastern Europe politics. Do you give me loyalty oath? Do you choose me amongst my enemies? He's like Putin. At a stormy meeting last week, Catanzara insisted that the 3 council members, all former firefighters, Nick Sposato, Anthony Napolitano, and Jim Gardner. I didn't realize that Jim Gardner was a former firefighter. Interesting. Pledged their support to Aaron Jones, a Chicago Police Department detective challenging incumbent State Senator Rob Martwick, Democrat of Chicago. Martwick is a favorite of the Chicago Firefighters Union Local 2nd, having championed a costly firefighter pension sweetener over Mayor Lori Lightfoot's strenuous objections. But Catanzara said his members want Martwick gone for having helped the Black Caucus push what Catanzara called a ridiculously left-wing, radical Democrat justice reform bill through the General Assembly. The purpose of last week's meeting in Sposato's Northwest Side office was to introduce Jones to the 3 alderpersons and convince them to defy Local 2 by backing her over Martwick. But the meeting turned ugly when Catanzara threatened to run Fraternal Order of Police-backed challengers against the 3 police union supporters if they didn't back Jones. Our members want Martwick's head on a platter. He has to go. And you either are for our members or you are for Bob Martwick. Do you know what for our members means for Catanzara, guys? You know what that means. You understand the veiled what that means. You're for our members. We can get away with murder.
Yeah.
That's what Catanzara wants. When he claims that the mayor doesn't have the backs of CPD, despite all the money she's shoveling to them, it's that one level of, well, we'll support you, we'll shovel money to you, we'll give our COVID funds to you, but you have to be accountable, not running around shooting people of color in the streets because you fear for your lives and want to get home at the end of the night instead of critically thinking through a situation and possibly retraining and reforming how you decide to respond rather than escalate. And he goes on to say, if you do support Bob Martwick, there will be retribution in the elections next year. You're just going to have to answer for that support, Catanzara said in a YouTube message his members posted Tuesday night. He's like a fucking cult leader. It erupted from there. Catanzara continued in his description of the meeting. Alderman Gardner walked out of the building and left, which I thought was rather childish. Alderman Sposato sat there and had a conversation, even though he didn't like what was being said. And Alderman Napolitano started screaming that I was threatening him. Catanzara said his remarks were, quote unquote, never a threat. He was simply explaining where our membership is at. You either back the police or you don't. And when it's hard, we expect you to do it. You don't get to do it and say it only when it's easy. You have to do it when it's hard. This is an opportunity to do it when it's hard, Catanzara said. And this, guys, I think speaks to...
Is he bastardizing movie quotes?
You're either with the police, you either back the police or you don't. What does that mean? What does that mean? Are the police, are CPD meant to be looked upon as more important, more able to decide to dispense justice without proper due course than how they're trained. This is what's really scary about Catanzara, is that he really has created a line in the sand here, that it's them against us. It's not about them with us. And I really want to emphasize this is at the heart of my criticisms. I don't want to speak for you, gentlemen, but my criticisms against the CPD. I've said a million times in the past, I respect law enforcement. I think law enforcement is a privilege. You're supposed to serve the community. This guy is speaking like he runs the city. He's speaking like CPD runs the city and makes all the decisions. And if the mayor or these aldermen don't see the way he sees them, they're enemies. And I'm sorry, that's not public service.
Yeah,
That's not what
it's very
CPD is.
self-serving.
Absolutely. And it scares me that this guy has been elected over so many terms to be the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. That's what scares me about the rank and file of CPD. I know there are good officers out there. I know there are. And I really feel bad criticizing CPD all the time because I don't want to diminish the fact that I know that there are some good, honest officers out there. But when you get a clown like this, who's the representative of a CPD, it gives me pause. You guys are electing this guy over and over again. Does this guy really represent how you feel you're supposed to serve the privilege of law enforcement? Kit, what do you think?
I have my issues with the Chicago Police Department. There's a lot of corruption and a lot of unanswered cases of abuse, and a lot of good people are put behind bars thanks to this ridiculous war on drugs.
Yep.
There's a lot of accountability, but I'll go on to stress and say that there are good officers in the Chicago Police Department. That's as far as I want to say it. But to those officers, is this your champion? Is this your guy? Is this someone you could say with confidence, with pride, you want him to represent all of you? Because this man has his own agenda. And if you're a Chicago police officer, and if you think he somehow cares about your well-being or either that, the end of the war on drugs and maybe making your lives a little bit easier, if you think he gives a damn about you, you're living in a false reality. This guy is a danger, and he's going to drag all of you down. I'm pretty sure he's got plenty of skeletons in his closet. And you're going to have to do better. Show the people of Chicago you're better, because this guy will destroy you all. And if all of you remain silent and obedient, then that's what you're going to get.
Kit, I think you made a very good point. He is, I believe in my heart, he's misrepresented what Chicago Police Department enforcement ideally is supposed to be about. It's not there. He's a bully. Art shares in the chat, Clown Catanzara has that terrible persona of being exactly what the city doesn't need. And he's also a MAGA. He's a maggot, as I like to call them, which, I think leans more towards authoritarianism and fascism as far as how he wants to lead the department and how they police the community.
Yeah.
The article goes on to say, Catanzara's quote, going against your local Fraternal Order of Police as a sitting alderman, whether you're in that local or not, is not my concern. It might be theirs, but our members want Mark Wick gone, and they cannot have it both ways. Napolitano said that the old school values he learned from 3 generations of police officers and city workers in his family dictates that what was said between sisters and brothers in that room should remain confidential. But Napolitano said Wednesday, in my entire life, I have never let anybody talk shit to me without me standing up for myself, my constituents, and everybody I know. I'm just not the guy that you're going to come and threaten. It's not going to ever happen. People didn't elect me to back down from anyone. Now, interesting Napolitano says this because I think that Napolitano is somewhat authoritarian, and I believe he's been very supportive of the CPD in the past. So when you see Napolitano breaking ranks with Catanzara, that says something. He's the one who wants to see more money going into policing police funding, overtime, increasing police presence in neighborhoods. Napolitano added that he doesn't support Martwick. He just didn't like how Catanzara handled the situation. Sposato pulled no punches in describing what happened behind closed doors. I'm a police supporter, okay? Probably the biggest police supporter. He came in here like a badass, started threatening us. I got in an argument with him. It's got to be a loud, heated debate, and I threw him out of my office, Sposato said. I'm very disappointed in him. I considered him a friend, but obviously he doesn't consider me a friend. So I guess we're not friends because Catanzara has an agenda, and he's ramping up, I think, to be the Trump of the local mayoral candidates that are going to stand up and challenge Mayor Lightfoot. He's going to rely on that, I think, extreme conservative, right-wing, and dare I say, as you like to say, Kit, potentially racist position that police and the authoritarians need to make things right here.
Yeah.
And I would say make it worse.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed. Okay, so as for Catanzara's threat to take him, as for Catanzara's threat to take him out in 2023, bring it on. I just want to know who this person is you're going to find in my ward. This police officer who says, yeah, I'm going to run up against Nick Sposato. I'm not worried about it. It's a threat that he can't back up. Sposato scoffed at Catanzara's demand that all three former firefighters pick sides between the Fraternal Order of Police and Local 2. I don't believe I would have been an alderman. I don't believe Anthony would have been an alderman. I don't believe Jim would have been an alderman without the support of Local 2. Therefore, that's the union we're most loyal to. And you know what? I got to say, guys, I'm not a huge fan of Sposato, Napolitano, or obviously not Gardner. But isn't it interesting? Three of the most villainous city council members, in my estimation, are breaking ranks with Catanzara.
Something else had to happen. There had been some more shenanigans on the inside.
Yeah, very possible.
There has to be, because knowing this Chicago politics, some kind of deal went south. Something soured between this relationship because an alliance of this magnitude doesn't just break up that easily. And my suspicious mind is questioning what caused the fallout.
So Kathy Powers in the live chat says Napolitano doesn't want affordable housing in his area because those people will move in. Also, yes, Kathy, why do the good cops stay silent? That makes them complicit.
They are complicit.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make them. Yeah, they're complicit. Gentlemen, we know that Chicago isn't beyond saving. Give me more time. There are good people here. But where are the Jim Gordons of Chicago to stand up and expose and reform the departments? I can't say. Lastly, go ahead. Let me just wrap up this article real quick. Martwick said he supported the police reform bill, but only after he worked closely with Catanzara to champion, quote, keeping the most important protections for police officers in place, including collective bargaining rights and qualified immunity.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. What about Catanzara's threat to recruit and back challengers against the three alderpersons? It certainly doesn't come as a surprise to me. He is now threatening probably police officers' most ardent supporter in the General Assembly, Martwick said. End of the article. Kit, you were about to say?
Well, actually, it's going to be more of a funny statement, but our editor, Faze, for Hard Lens Media, who does phenomenal work, told me that tonight he's going to see The Batman. Should I have warned him? We talked about this in the past. Apparently The Batman is doing very, very well. I'm a big fan of Ben Affleck's Batman, and I know what happened behind the scenes where suddenly the creative tide shifted, that it became a Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson vehicle as opposed to embracing what Ben Affleck invited Matt Reeves to come on and direct, and Affleck departed from the project. So, look, I'm sure I heard it's a decent movie. My issue is not with the creatives involved. It's just not the Batman movie that I want to see with Ben Affleck. And that's why I've stayed away from it. And I haven't watched it because I think it's just going to piss me off knowing what we missed with Ben Affleck doing a standalone Batman movie based on his performances in Batman versus Superman and Zack Snyder's Justice League. So Art Medina says, okay, and I take Art's word
The Batman is actually a good movie. I'll never have those 3 hours back, but I had a good time. Art, my nephew Christian asked me when we're going to go see it, and I said, I'm kind of waiting for it to come to HBO Max because I don't want to spend money on a ticket to support Warner Brothers after I personally feel they kind of screwed over Ben Affleck and what was happening behind the scenes. And this is all entertainment news and stuff. I might see it in the theater with my nephew, but I don't have a desire to see it. I don't perceive it's the Batman that I want to see, although I'm sure it's a good film. Yes, Warren, I am a Bat purist. So
there's
I'm sure
only one Batman, and that's Christian Bale. That's my Batman.
Christian, hey, dude, I love what Christian Bale did with that role. I love the Nolan movies, but once Zack Snyder produced and directed it in the way that he did with Ben Affleck and with oh my God, the alcohol is really hitting me. Henry Cavill playing Superman and Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Oh my
Great trilogy.
God. You could not cast the more perfectly proportioned visual archetypes for those characters, especially in Batman versus Superman. So when Zack Snyder went on to finally finish his version of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we knew that Ben Affleck was going to be given an opportunity to do his Batman standalone movie, I was all for it, but that kind of got pulled away from him. So we may see Affleck given an opportunity to do it, though, as Discovery is going to be completing its merger with Warner Brothers. And by my estimation from what I'm reading online, the people at Discovery are very, very they're big fans of what Zack Snyder set up to do with his Justice League. And given the fact that Zack Snyder's Justice League really helped elevate HBO Max last year, the viewership for his cut of Justice League was phenomenal. Discovery recognizes that there's more money to be made embracing Zack's vision in finishing the story he set up and then going off in different directions with other directors telling their stories. So on a creative level, let me explain to you guys and people in the chat what I'm talking about here. It's not Chicago related, but when Zack Snyder came on to do Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and Justice League was supposed to be 3 movies. And at the end of the 3 Justice League movies, Zack Snyder's story would have been finished with those characters, and it would have left the playing field open to embrace other iterations and other directions for these characters by other directors, taking them in different directions, not within that quote-unquote universe. Zack Snyder kind of got hobbled from finishing his vision, and that was only like 3 or 4 years ago. And Warner Brothers, the creatives at Warner Brothers, decided to second guess him and take it in different directions, embracing what Matt Reeves wanted to do, not allowing Zack Snyder to finish what he wanted to complete with his vision of these characters. Now, look, Joker was a great standalone movie. It didn't have to exist within the universes that they created. I think Matt Reeves' Batman is kind of the same animal. But for the creatives at Warner Brothers to completely prevent Zack Snyder from finishing what he started, which millions of fans want to see completed, because the success of his Justice League on HBO Max proved the executives at Warner Brothers. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. Proving them wrong is why they decided to disallow him from finishing that and go in different directions. So thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, so
Kathy,
who's more thin-skinned, Warner Brothers or Lori Lightfoot?
Yeah, the
Lori
executives.
Lightfoot. Lori Lightfoot. There's no debate about it. Lori Lightfoot.
Okay, so you look.
At least Lightfoot likes superheroes.
And I only go in this direction, Kathy, because Kit asked me. But Kathy has a very good point to make in the chat here. Come to our town hall on 3/28. We want our elected board for trustees for the city colleges. Lightbricon owns them too. All right. Say goodnight, Oreo. Okay, yeah, that's a good event to bring up. That's coming up 3/28. Kathy, you have anything else you want to share regarding that event in the live chat? If she does, I will share it. Anyway, Kit, you got some stuff coming from Hardlands Media you want to share with our audience?
Well, actually, I want to talk to you a little bit after the show, but for the most part, everything is still on point. Great stuff. And so I got 2 things to bring up to you after the show, so I don't want to do it live on air.
Well, let me also share one thing that I talked about with Daniel. Chicago Corner will eventually have a presence on CAN TV.
Yes.
The only thing having prevented that so far is scheduling issues. It's been very difficult for me to produce a show a week for Can TV, but as my schedule opens up, hopefully I will be able to meet that commitment and will be on Can TV, which will hopefully also help drive viewership here to the YouTube channel on the stuff we're talking about on Tuesdays and Fridays. I don't hear anything else from Kathy. What I'm hearing is crickets, Kathy, right? You were going to mock me for my, oh, here she is. Thanks, Kathy. Can always rely on Kathy for swatting me around. Although I got to say, Kathy really gives us some good leads for stories that I do try to cover. The Weiss Hospital story over in Uptown is something that I want to get more in depth about, Kathy, since you sent me those links. So hopefully maybe in the next couple of weeks with your assistance, we can cover that story. I just want to be a little bit more better informed over what happened over there with in light of everything else we've been reporting on. All right, guys. Ed, anything you want to share?
Nothing really big to share. Just remember, if you like Chicago-style pizza, head on over to the website, realdeepdish.com, and learn how to make Chicago-style pizza at home. That's real, REALDEEP, dish.com.
All right, gentlemen, to the rest of
we should probably also promote a wonderful thing called Flavor Improving Mugs. The mugs that improve flavor. Now available in the Redbubble merch shop in the link below.
Do so and check it out.
I would be shocked if people have not already liked and subscribed to this channel. But if you haven't, what's keeping you from doing that? Please make sure to share the link. Also, please make sure to tune. I keep forgetting to say this, Kit, and I apologize. It's not because it's not my sentiment, but I overlook it. Everybody, please, you probably already do. Tune into Hardlands Media, 5 o'clock each evening on YouTube as well for Kit's national coverage. He is joined by Kira. He's joined by Daniel. He's joined by Lainey. I hope you guys take advantage of watching Kit's national broadcasts or national coverage on the issues every night, 5 o'clock on YouTube Media. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. In the meantime, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Please, as we go into the weekend, watch out for each other, be vigilant, take care of each other, be safe, and remember, if it's happening on the streets, you will hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Thanks, everybody. Have a safe weekend.